You do not enter a room with words. You enter it with energy. Before you ever speak, before you ever introduce yourself, before anyone knows your name, people already feel you. I am speaking to you right now because this truth is shaping every social moment of your life, whether you realize it or not. You might think attraction comes from what you say, how clever you sound, or how impressive your stories are. But the reality is far more subtle and far more powerful. Your presence speaks first. Your stillness speaks. Your calm or your tension announces who you are long before your voice does. When you understand this, you stop trying to perform and you start learning how to be. Most people walk through the world in a quiet state of begging. They beg for approval, for attention, for validation. They may not do it with words, but their body language gives them away. Their shoulders are tight, their movements are rushed, their eyes search the room for permission to exist. You can feel this insecurity the moment they step into your space, and without realizing it, you react to it. You might feel uncomfortable, bored, or disconnected. That reaction is not about what they said. It is about what they projected. I want you to become aware of this because the same thing happens with you. People do not judge you by your arguments. They feel you through your nervous system. They read your emotional state. They sense whether you are grounded or desperate, calm or anxious, centered or scattered. This is why some people seem magnetic without trying. They do not force conversation. They do not dominate the room. They simply exist with a quiet confidence that makes others lean in. When you are centered inside yourself, your body relaxes, your breathing slows, your movements become deliberate, your eyes no longer scan for approval. And when that happens, people feel safe around you. Safety is attractive. Calm is attractive. A nervous mind repels. A grounded presence invites. You cannot fake this. You can only build it by learning how to be comfortable in your own skin. I want you to notice how you feel right now as you read this. Are you tense? Are you rushing? Are you trying to get to the next line as fast as possible? Or are you letting the words settle? Your relationship with time reveals your relationship with yourself. A person who is always in a hurry is telling the world they are running from something. A person who moves slowly and intentionally is telling the world they are at home inside themselves, and that difference is felt immediately by everyone around you. When I say people feel you before they hear you, I mean that your emotional state is louder than your voice. You can say all the right things, but if you are internally chaotic, people will not trust you. Trust is not built by words, it is built by coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and body are aligned, you create a sense of integrity that others can feel. This is why Stoic wisdom places such importance on inner calm. A calm mind produces a calm presence. A calm presence produces natural authority. You do not need to be dominant to be respected. You need to be stable. You do not need to impress. You need to be consistent. When you are emotionally steady, people relax around you. They stop guarding themselves. They stop competing. They start listening. That is the beginning of influence, not manipulation. Influence. Influence is what happens when others trust your presence. Many people confuse loudness with confidence. They think the person who talks the most must be the strongest. But in reality, the loudest person in the room is often the most insecure. They are filling silence because silence forces them to face themselves. The truly confident person does not fear quiet. They are comfortable letting moments breathe, and that comfort changes the energy of every interaction. When you are not rushing to prove yourself, others stop feeling the need to protect themselves from you. I want you to imagine walking into a room without needing anything from anyone. You are not there to impress. You are not there to be liked. You are simply there to be present. Your posture is relaxed. Your breathing is slow. Your eyes are steady. In that state, you are no longer chasing connection. You are allowing it. People will approach you. Conversations will form naturally, and you will not even know why it is happening, because you are no longer interfering with it through anxiety. This is the paradox of attraction. The more you try to be seen, the less you are felt. The more you relax into yourself, the more visible you become. When you drop the need to perform, you reveal something far more powerful. And authenticity is magnetic because it feels rare in a world full of masks. Every time you enter a space, you are sending a message, not with your mouth, but with your nervous system. If you are tense, people feel pressure. If you are calm, people feel ease. If you are scattered, people feel instability. If you are grounded, people feel trust. This is why your inner work is not selfish. It is social. The way you regulate your emotions determines how others experience you. I want you to start paying attention to how you arrive, not just physically, but emotionally. Do you rush in, carrying stress from the day? Do you carry resentment, fear, or frustration into the room? Or do you take a moment to breathe, to reset, to become present? That single pause can transform how you are perceived. Because when you center yourself, you shift the entire energy of the interaction. You are not attractive because of what you add. You are attractive because of what you remove. You remove tension. You remove neediness. You remove emotional noise. And what remains is presence. Pure, steady, grounded presence. That is what people feel before they ever hear your voice. This is where silent attraction begins. Not with techniques, not with tricks, but with the way you inhabit your own body. When you are at peace inside yourself, others feel that peace, and they want to be near it. The moment you stop asking the world for permission to be yourself, something inside you shifts. I am speaking directly to you now because this shift is the beginning of real power. Independence is not about pushing people away. It is not about proving you do not need anyone. It is about standing so firmly in who you are that you no longer have to lean on anyone to hold you up. When you live this way, you stop chasing approval. And in that very moment, people begin to feel drawn to you. They may not know why, but they sense that you are grounded in something deeper than their opinions. Most people are quietly enslaved by how they are perceived. They adjust their words to be liked. They soften their truths to avoid rejection. They betray their own values just to stay accepted. This is a slow form of self-abandonment, and the world can feel it. When you live for validation, your energy becomes unstable. You look to others to tell you who you are. But when you live from your own center, your energy becomes solid. You are no longer asking the room who you should be. You are bringing yourself into the room as you are. That stability is magnetic. I want you to understand this clearly. Independence is not coldness. It is wholeness. A person who is whole does not cling. They connect. A person who is whole does not beg. They offer. When you no longer need others to complete you, your relationships become lighter, cleaner, and more real. You stop entering interactions with hidden expectations. You stop hoping someone will fix you, save you, or validate your worth. And because of that, people feel safe around you. They feel that you are not using them. You are meeting them. There is a quiet dignity that comes with self-reliance. When you trust your own judgment, when you follow your own values, when you make decisions even when they are unpopular, you develop a kind of inner backbone that others sense instantly. You do not need to announce your confidence. You do not need to defend your choices. You simply stand in them. That is what creates presence. That is what makes people respect you without you ever asking for it. Many people think attraction comes from being impressive, but real attraction comes from being self-anchored. When you are anchored in yourself, you are no longer easily swayed by praise or criticism. Compliments do not inflate you. Rejection does not destroy you. You remain steady, and that steadiness is rare. People are tired of emotional volatility. They are tired of insecurity disguised as charm. They are drawn to someone who knows who they are and does not apologize for it. Independence also changes how you move through life. You stop comparing yourself to everyone else. You stop racing against timelines that were never meant for you. You begin to walk at your own pace. And when you do that, your energy becomes calm and deliberate. You are no longer chasing, you are choosing. That shift alone makes you stand out. People can feel when someone is desperate. They can also feel when someone is self-directed. I want you to notice something. The people you admire most are not the ones who follow trends. They are the ones who follow their inner compass. They do not try to fit into every room. They bring their own gravity into it. That gravity comes from knowing what they stand for. When you live by your values, even quietly, you emit a sense of integrity. And integrity is one of the most attractive traits a human being can possess. Independence does not mean you do not value connection. It means you no longer need to sacrifice yourself to have it. You can love deeply without losing yourself. You can listen without abandoning your truth. You can give without becoming empty. When you have this balance, your relationships become healthier and more magnetic. People feel that you are not there to take, you are there to share. There is also a freedom that comes with independence that people find irresistible. When you are not afraid to be alone, you become fearless in choosing the right company. You do not stay where you are disrespected. You do not tolerate what diminishes you. You walk away from what does not align with your values. That self-respect radiates. Others may not know the details of your life, but they feel that you have boundaries. And boundaries create attraction because they signal self-worth. The world is full of people who bend themselves into shapes just to be accepted. When you refuse to do that, you become a contrast. You become someone who stands out not because you are loud, but because you are real. Your independence gives you a kind of quiet authority. You do not have to prove yourself. You simply show up as you are. And that authenticity is what makes people lean in. I want you to start asking yourself different questions. Not, what do they want from me? But what do I want from my life? Not how can I be liked, but how can I be true? These questions change everything. When you answer them honestly, your choices begin to reflect who you really are. And when your life reflects your truth, your energy becomes coherent. People trust coherence. They are drawn to it. Independence is also about enjoying your own company. When you can be alone without feeling empty, you develop a deep inner peace. That peace makes you less reactive. You are no longer desperate for distraction. You are comfortable in stillness. And when you carry that stillness into the world, others feel it. They feel that you are not trying to escape yourself. You are at home within yourself. That is profoundly attractive. This is why your independence is your magnetism. It is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is not isolation. It is inner solidity. When you know who you are, when you trust yourself, when you live by your values, you become someone people respect without understanding why. They feel your groundedness. They feel your self-respect. They feel your freedom. And they want to be near it. You do not become magnetic by trying to pull people toward you. You become magnetic by becoming so rooted in yourself that others naturally gravitate toward your presence. There is a quiet fear that lives inside many people, and I know you have felt it too. It is the fear of being alone, not just physically alone, but emotionally alone, left with your own thoughts, your own doubts, your own unfiltered self. Most people try to drown this fear with noise, with constant company, with endless scrolling, with relationships that exist only to fill the silence. But the truth I want you to hear is this. The moment you learn how to walk alone without feeling lonely, you unlock a level of strength and attractiveness that most people never reach. I am speaking to you because you do not need to be surrounded by people to feel alive. You need to be connected to yourself. When you are at peace in your own company, you no longer use others as emotional crutches. You no longer stay in places that drain you just to avoid being by yourself. You choose your relationships, not out of fear, but out of alignment. That choice alone changes the way the world responds to you. Loneliness is not the same as solitude. Loneliness is the pain of feeling disconnected from yourself. Solitude is the power of being fully present with who you are. When you walk alone with a steady heart, you are not empty. You are complete, and people can sense the difference. A person who is lonely reaches outward for validation. A person who is whole carries an inner fullness that quietly draws others in. I want you to imagine walking through a city by yourself. No phone in your hand, no music in your ears, just your breath, your steps, and your awareness. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. Your mind will look for distraction. But if you stay with it, something begins to happen. You start to notice the world, the rhythm of your body, the clarity of your thoughts, and in that stillness, you begin to feel grounded. That groundedness is the same energy that makes people feel safe and intrigued around you. When you can be alone without collapsing into emptiness, you develop emotional independence. You no longer panic when there is no one around to entertain you. You no longer rush into relationships just to avoid the quiet. You give yourself the space to breathe, to reflect, to grow. And that space builds inner stability. Inner stability is what makes your presence feel solid and calm to others. Most people never sit with themselves long enough to know who they truly are. They borrow identities from their friends, their partners, their social circles. But when you spend time alone, you start to hear your own voice. You start to feel your own values. You begin to understand what matters to you. That clarity gives you direction. And a person with direction does not drift. They move with purpose. That purpose is felt by everyone around them. Walking alone also teaches you how to regulate your emotions. When you are by yourself, there is no one to distract you from what you feel. You learn to sit with discomfort. You learn to let sadness pass. You learn to watch anxiety rise and fall without letting it control you. This builds emotional strength. And emotional strength is deeply attractive because it means you are not fragile. You are resilient. I want you to realize something. A person who is comfortable alone does not cling. They do not need constant reassurance. They do not panic when someone pulls away. They are not afraid of silence. This makes their relationships healthier. They give people space. They respect boundaries. They do not smother. That ease creates a sense of freedom for others. And freedom is magnetic. When you walk alone with confidence, you send a powerful message. You tell the world that you are not afraid to be with yourself. You are not desperate for attention. You are not running from your own mind. And because of that, others feel curious about you. They wonder what kind of inner world you must have to be so at ease in solitude. Solitude also sharpens your perception. When you are not constantly distracted, you begin to see things more clearly. You notice patterns in your thoughts. You become aware of your habits. You start to understand what drains you and what energizes you. This awareness allows you to make better choices. You stop wasting time on what does not align with you. And that selective nature makes you more intentional in how you live and how you connect. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can stand on your own. When you know you will be okay, even if you lose someone, you stop tolerating disrespect. You stop chasing people who do not value you. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that do not honor you. That self-respect radiates. People may not know your story, but they feel your boundaries. And boundaries are attractive because they signal strength. Walking alone does not mean you do not love deeply. It means you love without losing yourself. It means you do not merge your identity with another person. You remain rooted in who you are. That rootedness allows you to give more authentically. You are not giving from fear. You are giving from abundance, and people can feel the difference. I want you to practice being alone in small ways. Take walks without distractions. Sit quietly and breathe. Write down what you feel. Listen to your own thoughts. The more you do this, the less lonely you will feel. Because loneliness fades when you stop abandoning yourself. The world is full of people who are terrified of being by themselves. When you are not one of them, you become rare. You become someone who moves through life with quiet strength. And that strength does not shout. It simply stands, and others feel it the moment you enter the room. When you can walk alone without feeling lonely, you do not need the world to complete you. You are already whole, and that wholeness is what makes you magnetic. Silent elegance is not something you wear. It is something you become. The way you carry your body, the way you move through a room, and the way you respond to the world tells a story about who you are long before you speak. I am talking to you because every day you are being read by others, not through your words, but through your presence. When you move with calm intention, when your posture is relaxed and upright, when your eyes are steady and your breath is slow, people feel a sense of order around you. That sense of order creates trust, and trust changes how you are perceived. Most people underestimate how much their body language speaks for them. They rush, they fidget, they avoid eye contact, and without meaning to, they communicate insecurity. Silent elegance is the opposite. It is the quiet message that says you are comfortable in your own skin. When you walk into a space with relaxed shoulders and an unhurried pace, you tell everyone around you that you are not trying to escape the moment. You are fully here. That presence alone makes people curious about you. I want you to notice how differently people treat someone who moves slowly and deliberately compared to someone who moves with nervous energy. The calm person is approached with respect. The anxious person is often overlooked. This is not about arrogance. It is about coherence. When your body and mind are aligned, your energy becomes smooth, and others respond to it instinctively. Silent elegance also lives in how you speak. Not how much you speak, but how you choose your words. When you talk without rushing, when you pause before responding, when you allow silence to exist between sentences, you show confidence. You do not feel the need to fill every gap with noise. People listen more closely to someone who is not trying to dominate the conversation. They lean in when your voice is measured and calm. But elegance is not coldness. It is warmth without chaos. When you listen attentively, when you acknowledge others with a gentle nod or a soft smile, you create emotional safety. People feel seen in your presence, and feeling seen is one of the deepest human needs. You do not have to flatter. You simply have to be present. There is also elegance in restraint. In a world that celebrates oversharing and emotional outbursts, the person who remains composed stands out. When something frustrating happens and you do not react impulsively, people notice. When you choose your response instead of being dragged by your emotions, you project strength. That strength does not need to be announced. It is felt. I want you to understand that silent elegance is not about pretending to be refined. It is about removing what is unnecessary. You remove rushed movements. You remove emotional noise. You remove the need to prove yourself. What remains is clarity, and clarity is attractive. When you cultivate this way of being, people start to describe you differently. They may say you are calm, grounded, or confident, but what they are really sensing is your inner stillness. That stillness creates a kind of gravity. Others feel pulled toward it because it offers relief from their own chaos. Your appearance also plays a subtle role, not in terms of trends or luxury, but in intention. When you dress with care, when your clothes fit well and feel natural on your body, you send a message that you respect yourself. You do not need to be extravagant. You need to be aligned. When your outer world reflects your inner order, people feel it. Silent elegance also shows in how you treat those who have nothing to offer you. When you are kind without being performative, when you show respect to everyone regardless of status, you demonstrate quiet power. True elegance does not look down on others. It stands tall without stepping on anyone. I want you to practice slowing down. Walk a little more deliberately. Breathe a little deeper. Speak a little less, but with more intention. Watch how the world responds. You will notice that people start to mirror your calm. Conversations become smoother. Interactions feel less tense. This is not coincidence. It is the natural response to your presence. When you embody silent elegance, you do not chase attention. You allow attention to come to you. Not because you are trying to be noticed, but because you are creating a space where others feel at ease. And people are always drawn to what feels safe and steady. This is how perception changes. You are no longer seen as someone who needs approval. You are seen as someone who knows who they are. And that is the essence of silent elegance. Calm is not weakness. It is control. I am telling you this because the world is full of people who react to everything, who are pushed and pulled by every emotion that passes through them. When you learn to remain calm, you step into a position of quiet authority. You no longer let situations dictate who you become. You choose your response, and that choice is where real power lives. Most people think strength is loud. They think power means being dominant, aggressive, or always ready to fight. But the strongest person in any room is the one who does not need to prove anything. When you stay calm while others lose their balance, people instinctively look to you. They trust you. They feel that you are anchored. That anchor becomes your influence. I want you to notice how different you feel around someone who is emotionally steady. Their presence slows you down. Your breathing changes. You feel less defensive. That is not an accident. Calm creates safety. Safety creates connection, and connection creates respect. This is why calm is your secret weapon in every interaction. When you do not react impulsively, you gain clarity. You see what is actually happening instead of what your emotions are telling you is happening. This gives you an advantage. You can listen. You can observe. You can choose your words carefully. Others are often too busy defending their ego to do this. When you stay calm, you rise above the noise. Calm also protects your energy. When you let every small thing upset you, you exhaust yourself. You leak power through emotional reactions. But when you remain centered, you conserve your strength. You do not waste it on things that do not deserve it. That self-control is deeply attractive because it signals maturity and self-respect. I want you to understand that being calm does not mean you do not feel. It means you are not ruled by what you feel. You still experience anger, fear, and excitement, but you do not let them hijack your behavior. You pause, you breathe, you respond. That pause changes everything. In that pause, you become deliberate instead of automatic. People can sense when someone is emotionally stable. They feel it in how you speak. They feel it in how you listen. They feel it in how you move. Your calm creates a rhythm that others naturally follow. And when you lead the emotional rhythm of a room, you lead the interaction. Calm also makes you unpredictable in the best way. When others expect you to overreact and you do not, they lose their power over you. They cannot manipulate you with drama or pressure. You become someone who is not easily shaken. That steadiness commands respect. I want you to practice this. The next time something irritates you, do not react immediately. Take a breath. Let the feeling rise and fall. Notice how quickly it loses its grip on you when you do not feed it. Over time, this practice builds emotional strength. You become less reactive and more intentional. That is the path to inner freedom. When you walk through life with calm, people experience you as safe, grounded, and confident. You do not need to intimidate. You do not need to impress. Your stillness does the work for you, and that stillness becomes your secret weapon in every social situation. Calm is not something you force. It is something you cultivate. The more you return to your breath, the more you observe your thoughts without getting lost in them, the more you build this inner stability. And once you have it, it changes everything about how you are perceived. When you remain calm, you become the eye of the storm. And in a chaotic world, that is the most powerful place to stand. Personal care is not about vanity. It is about respect. I want you to understand this because every small detail of how you take care of yourself is quietly speaking to the world. Long before anyone hears your story, they sense how you treat your own body, your space, and your presence. The way you smell, the way you groom yourself, the way you dress and move, all communicate something deeper than fashion. They communicate how much you value yourself. When you take care of your appearance with intention, you are not trying to impress. You are telling yourself that you matter. That inner message changes how you show up everywhere. You stand a little taller. You move with a little more ease. You look people in the eye with a little more confidence. And others feel that shift. They may not be able to explain it, but they feel that you respect yourself. And respect is magnetic. There is a subtle power in being clean, well-groomed, and quietly polished. A fresh scent, neat hair, and simple but thoughtful clothing send a message that you pay attention to details. You are not careless with yourself. You do not need to be extravagant. You need to be intentional. When your outer world reflects order, your inner world feels more grounded. That grounding becomes part of your presence. Most people underestimate the emotional impact of small physical details. A subtle fragrance can create a sense of warmth and familiarity. Clean clothes can make you feel more confident before you even speak. These are not shallow things. They are signals to your nervous system that you are prepared, worthy, and present. And when your nervous system feels safe, you project calm instead of anxiety. Personal care also affects how you treat others. When you feel good in your body, you are more relaxed. You are more open. You are more patient. You are not distracted by discomfort or insecurity. That ease flows into your interactions. People feel more comfortable around someone who is at ease with themselves. I want you to see personal care as a form of self-leadership. When you take time to shower, groom, choose clothes that feel right, and maintain your space, you are practicing discipline. You are telling yourself that you are worth the effort. That discipline builds inner strength. And inner strength is deeply attractive. There is also dignity in simplicity. You do not need loud colors or heavy fragrances. In fact, Subtlety is often more powerful. A light, clean scent invites closeness. A neat appearance invites trust. When you are not overwhelming the senses, people feel relaxed around you. They are more open to connection. Your body is the vessel through which you experience life. When you care for it, you show gratitude for that experience. You do not neglect it. You do not abuse it. You honor it. That honoring changes how you carry yourself. And that change is visible to everyone you meet. Personal care is also about consistency. It is not something you do once for a special occasion. It is something you practice every day. This consistency creates a sense of stability. You become someone who is reliable, even to yourself. That self-trust radiates outward. Others feel that you are grounded and dependable. I want you to imagine how differently you feel on a day when you are well-rested, clean, and dressed in a way that feels true to you. You move differently. You speak differently. You think differently. That internal shift is what others respond to. They are not responding to your clothes. They are responding to your confidence. When you neglect yourself, you send a message of low worth. When you care for yourself, you send a message of value. And the world always reflects back the messages you send inwardly. Personal care is the quiet foundation of silent attraction. It is not flashy. It does not demand attention. It simply creates a steady, respectful presence. And people feel that presence the moment you walk into a room. When you take care of yourself, you are telling the world without words, I matter. And that message is one of the most attractive things you can ever communicate. When you are fully present, something quiet but powerful happens. I am speaking to you because in a world overflowing with distractions, your ability to give your attention has become one of your greatest forms of influence. Most people are physically in front of you while their mind is somewhere else. They listen only enough to reply. They look at you while thinking about something entirely different. And because of that, they never truly connect. When you become the person who is actually here, who is mentally and emotionally present, you immediately become rare. Presence is not about staring or being intense. It is about giving someone the feeling that, in this moment, they matter. When you look at someone and truly listen, they feel it. Their body relaxes. Their voice changes. They begin to open up. This is not something you can fake. It comes from choosing to be in the moment instead of in your head. And that choice makes you magnetic. I want you to notice how you feel when someone gives you their full attention, when they are not checking their phone, when they are not interrupting, when they are not rushing to speak. You feel respected. You feel seen. That feeling creates connection, and connection is the root of attraction. Being present also means letting go of the need to perform. You are not thinking about how you look. You are not planning what to say next. You are simply receiving what is happening. This allows your responses to be natural instead of forced, and people trust what feels natural. They relax when they sense that you are not trying to impress them. Presence sharpens your awareness. You begin to notice small details, the tone of someone's voice, the emotion behind their words, the energy in the room. This awareness allows you to respond with empathy and timing. You say the right thing because you are actually listening. That makes your words carry more weight. I want you to realize how rare this is. In a world that is constantly pulling attention in 1,000 directions, someone who offers undivided focus feels almost sacred. People remember how you made them feel more than what you said. And when you make someone feel truly heard, they never forget you. Being present also calms your nervous system. When you stop jumping between thoughts and distractions, your body relaxes, your breathing slows, your movements become smoother. This calm becomes part of your presence. Others feel it. They feel that you are not rushed, You are not anxious. You are here, and that makes them feel safe. Presence is also a form of respect for yourself. When you give your full attention to a moment, you are saying that your life is worth experiencing. You are not numbing yourself with distractions. You are living. That aliveness shows in your eyes. It shows in your posture. It shows in your energy. I want you to practice this. When you speak to someone, put away everything else. Look at them. Listen to them. Let them finish. Do not rush to respond. Feel the space between their words. This space is where connection is born. The more present you become, the less you need to force anything. Conversations flow. People feel comfortable. You do not have to chase interest. It arises naturally. When you are fully present, you do not blend into the background. You stand out quietly, not because you are louder, but because you are more real. And in a world that is constantly distracted, being real is rare. That rarity is what makes you attractive. Mystery is not about hiding who you are. It is about not giving everything away all at once. I am speaking to you because in a world where people overshare every thought and emotion, the person who knows how to keep part of themselves private becomes deeply intriguing. When you do not explain every decision, when you do not reveal every detail of your life, you create space for curiosity. And curiosity is one of the strongest forces of attraction. Most people talk too much because they are afraid of being misunderstood or forgotten. They fill silence with information. They expose every feeling in hopes of being seen. But the more you reveal too quickly, the less there is left to discover. Mystery is what keeps people leaning toward you, wondering who you really are beneath the surface. I want you to understand this clearly. Being mysterious does not mean being dishonest. It means being intentional. You choose what to share. You let others earn access to your deeper layers. This creates a sense of value around you. People respect what they cannot access easily. When you speak less, but with more meaning, your words carry weight. People listen more closely. When you are not constantly explaining yourself, you appear confident. You are not seeking validation for your choices. You are simply living them. That quiet certainty is attractive. Mystery also gives your presence depth. You become someone who cannot be summarized in a few sentences. There is always more beneath the surface. People feel that complexity, and it draws them in. They want to understand you. They want to spend time with you, not because you are performing, but because you are layered. I want you to notice how different it feels to talk to someone who shares everything compared to someone who reveals slowly. The slow reveal creates anticipation. It creates interest. It creates connection that grows over time instead of burning out quickly. Mystery also protects your inner world. When you do not give everyone access to your thoughts and struggles, you keep your emotional energy intact. You are not constantly explaining or defending yourself. You are free to just be. That emotional self-containment makes you feel grounded, and grounded people are magnetic. When you walk into a room without announcing everything about yourself, you allow others to project curiosity onto you. They watch you. They notice your behavior. They start to wonder. That wondering creates attention. Not loud attention, but focused attention. I want you to practice this by sharing only what feels meaningful. You do not have to tell your entire story. You do not have to justify your choices. Let your actions speak. Let your silence create intrigue. The more comfortable you become with not being fully known, the more powerful you feel. You no longer need constant affirmation. You no longer need to be understood by everyone. You know who you are. And that self-certainty is what makes mystery work. When you combine mystery with authenticity, you create a presence that people cannot forget. You are not distant. You are simply deep, and depth is rare. Mystery does not push people away. It invites them closer. And that invitation is what makes you quietly irresistible. Cultural wisdom is not about collecting facts or showing how much you know. It is about understanding the world beyond your own experience. I am speaking to you because the more deeply you understand people, the more powerful and attractive your presence becomes. When you can see life through many perspectives, you stop being rigid. You become flexible, thoughtful, and emotionally intelligent. That depth sets you apart in a way that no surface-level charm ever could. Most people speak from a narrow view of the world. They react based on their habits, their upbringing, and their fears. But when you take the time to learn about different cultures, different ways of thinking, and different stories, you develop empathy. You realize that everyone carries a history you cannot see. That awareness changes how you treat people. You become more patient, more respectful, more curious. And curiosity is magnetic. I want you to notice how different it feels to talk to someone who genuinely listens compared to someone who only waits for their turn to speak. The person who listens makes you feel valued. They ask thoughtful questions. They do not rush to judge. That is cultural wisdom in action. It is not about speaking more. It is about understanding more. When you cultivate this wisdom, your conversations become richer. You can connect with people from different backgrounds. You do not feel threatened by perspectives that challenge your own. Instead, you become interested. That openness creates an atmosphere of safety. People feel free to be themselves around you, and that freedom draws them closer. Cultural wisdom also gives you depth. You are not limited to one way of seeing the world. You carry stories, ideas, and insights that make every interaction more meaningful. People feel that you have something inside you that is worth exploring. They sense that you are not shallow. You are layered, and layers are intriguing. I want you to approach every person as a teacher. Everyone you meet knows something you do not. When you adopt this mindset, you stop needing to impress. You start wanting to learn. This shifts the energy of every conversation. Instead of trying to dominate, you become engaged. Instead of proving, you become curious. That curiosity is quietly attractive. When you understand different cultures and viewpoints, you also become more adaptable. You know how to adjust your tone, your humor, and your approach depending on who you are with. This does not mean you lose yourself. It means you respect others, and respect builds connection faster than any clever line ever could. Cultural wisdom also helps you avoid unnecessary conflict. When you understand where people are coming from, you are less likely to take things personally. You see that most reactions are rooted in experience, not intention. This allows you to respond with calm instead of defensiveness. That emotional maturity makes you someone others trust. I want you to read more. Watch stories from different parts of the world. Listen to people who do not think like you. Let your perspective expand. The more it expands, the more grounded you become. Because when you see the world clearly, you stop being controlled by small fears. A person with cultural wisdom carries a quiet confidence. They do not need to be right all the time. They are comfortable not knowing. That humility is rare, and people feel safe around rare things. When you walk through life with this kind of understanding, you stand out, not because you are louder, but because you are deeper. And depth always leaves a lasting impression. Compassion is often misunderstood as softness, but I want you to see it for what it truly is. Compassion is strength in its most refined form. When you are able to remain kind, patient, and present in a world that constantly pushes people into defensiveness, you demonstrate emotional mastery. I am speaking to you because the way you treat others, especially when it would be easier not to. Shapes your presence more than anything you say. Most people react to pain with walls. They become cold. They become distant. They protect themselves by closing their hearts. But the person who stays open, who listens, who offers understanding without judgment, stands out. That openness is not weakness. It is courage. It takes far more strength to remain gentle than it does to become hard. I want you to notice how you feel when someone truly listens to you. Not to reply, not to fix you, but to understand you. You feel seen. You feel safe. That feeling creates connection, and connection creates attraction. Compassion makes people feel valued, and being valued is one of the deepest human desires. Being compassionate does not mean you let others walk over you. It means you choose to respond with empathy instead of ego. You can set boundaries and still be kind. You can say no without being cruel. That balance shows emotional intelligence. People respect someone who is firm and gentle at the same time. Compassion also makes you more grounded. When you understand that everyone is carrying something invisible, you stop taking things personally. You become less reactive. You create space between what happens and how you respond. That space gives you freedom, and freedom is magnetic. I want you to see compassion as a form of inner stability. When you are calm enough to hold someone else's pain without being overwhelmed by it, you demonstrate deep emotional strength. Others feel that stability. They feel that you are someone they can trust with their truth. In a world where many people are impatient and self-focused, the one who shows genuine care becomes unforgettable. You do not have to do grand gestures. A kind word, a patient ear, a moment of understanding. These small acts leave a powerful imprint on the heart. Compassion also deepens your own life. When you give without expecting anything back, you break free from the cycle of needing approval. You become more complete. You no longer look to others to fill you. You give because you are already full. That fullness radiates. I want you to practice seeing people instead of judging them. Notice their emotions. Notice their tone. Notice their hesitation. Respond to what they are feeling, not just to what they are saying. This is how you create real connection. When you lead with compassion, people feel safe around you. They relax. They open up. They trust you. And trust is the foundation of attraction. Compassion is not weakness. It is quiet power. And when you carry it with strength and boundaries, it makes you unforgettable. Joy is not something you wait for. It is something you choose. I am speaking to you because the energy you bring into the world shapes every interaction you have. When you carry a quiet sense of joy inside you, people feel it the moment you arrive. You do not need to be loud or performative. A genuine smile, a warm laugh, or a light presence can change the atmosphere of an entire room. Most people move through life weighed down by worry, resentment, and stress. They forget how to feel alive. But when you allow yourself to find joy in small moments, you remind others that life is still worth enjoying. That reminder is powerful. It gives people permission to relax. And relaxed people are drawn to those who make them feel lighter. Joy is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about choosing to see beauty even when things are not. When you can laugh at a mistake, when you can find humor in an awkward moment, you show emotional resilience. You show that life does not control you. You can move with it. That flexibility makes you attractive because it signals inner freedom. I want you to notice how you feel around someone who enjoys being alive. Their energy lifts you. You feel more open. You feel more playful. That feeling creates connection, and connection creates attraction. When you laugh easily, you create safety. People do not feel judged. They do not feel tense. They feel welcome. This does not mean you avoid seriousness. It means you do not let seriousness steal all the light from your life. You carry both depth and warmth. That combination is rare. Joy also makes you more present. When you are enjoying a moment, you are not lost in your worries. You are here. That presence is magnetic. People want to be around someone who actually experiences life instead of constantly escaping it. I want you to practice noticing what brings you small sparks of happiness. A good conversation, a quiet walk, a simple meal. Let yourself feel those moments. When you do, you build an inner reservoir of joy. And that joy flows into your interactions. When you share joy without needing attention for it, you create a positive emotional climate. Others begin to associate you with warmth. They look forward to seeing you, not because you entertain them, but because you make them feel good. Joy is contagious because emotions travel through energy. When you carry lightness, others pick it up. You become someone who leaves people feeling better than before. That is quiet attraction, and it is powerful. Self-care is not indulgence. It is a declaration of worth. I am speaking to you because the way you treat your own body, mind, and time teaches the world how to treat you. When you take care of yourself, you are not being selfish. You are setting a standard. That standard quietly shapes every relationship you have. Most people neglect themselves and then wonder why they feel empty. They push their limits, ignore their needs, and live in a constant state of exhaustion. But when you choose to care for yourself, you create balance. You give your nervous system space to breathe. You allow your mind to reset, and that inner stability changes your presence. Self-care begins with the basics: rest, nourishment, movement, and quiet time. These are not luxuries, they are foundations. When your body feels supported, your emotions become steadier. When your mind is rested, your thoughts become clearer, and clarity makes you confident. I want you to notice how different you feel on a day when you are well rested compared to a day when you are not. Your patience changes, your tolerance changes, your self-respect changes. People feel that difference when they interact with you. They sense whether you are depleted or grounded. Self-care is also about boundaries. It is about knowing when to say no, when to step back, when to protect your energy. This does not make you distant. It makes you honest. You stop giving from emptiness. You start giving from abundance. And that changes the quality of every connection. When you care for yourself, you become emotionally reliable. You do not swing wildly between extremes. You are more consistent. That consistency creates trust. People feel safe around someone who is balanced. I want you to treat your well-being as a priority, not an afterthought. When you do, you send a powerful message to yourself. You say, I am worth caring for. That message becomes part of your identity, and identity shapes how you show up in the world. Self-care also builds quiet confidence. When you keep promises to yourself, you develop self-trust. You no longer doubt your ability to take care of your own life. That self-trust is deeply attractive. When you are centered, rested, and emotionally nourished, your presence becomes calm and steady. Others feel that calm. They are drawn to it. Self-care is self-respect. And self-respect is one of the most attractive qualities you can have. Emotional intelligence is not about controlling others. It is about understanding yourself. I am speaking to you because the more aware you become of your own emotions, the more power you gain over your life. When you know what you feel and why you feel it, you stop being pushed around by invisible forces. You stop reacting blindly. You begin to choose. That choice is where quiet power lives. Most people think strength means being tough on the outside, but true strength is being honest on the inside. When you can recognize fear without letting it rule you, when you can feel anger without letting it explode, you become emotionally stable. Others feel that stability. They trust it. They feel safe around it. And safety is one of the deepest forms of attraction. Emotional intelligence also allows you to read the room. You notice tone. You notice energy. You sense when someone is uncomfortable or excited or withdrawn. This awareness helps you respond in a way that creates harmony instead of conflict. You do not have to guess. You feel. And when you respond with that sensitivity, people feel understood. I want you to imagine being in a tense situation. Everyone is defensive. Voices are rising, but you stay calm. You listen. You speak gently. You choose words that lower the temperature instead of raising it. That ability to regulate emotion in the moment is leadership. People naturally follow the one who brings calm into chaos. Emotional intelligence also deepens your relationships. When you validate someone's feelings instead of dismissing them, you create trust. When you show empathy instead of judgment, you create connection. These small emotional signals build powerful bonds over time, and strong bonds make you unforgettable. I want you to practice noticing what you feel before you speak. Take a breath. Ask yourself what is really happening inside you. When you do this, you stop saying things you will regret. You become more intentional. And intention makes your words carry weight. The more emotionally intelligent you become, the less you need to defend your ego. You are not threatened by disagreement. You are not shaken by criticism. You understand that emotions are passing states, not permanent truths. That understanding gives you freedom. When you walk through life with this level of awareness, people experience you as grounded and wise. You do not dominate. You do not withdraw. You engage with clarity. That clarity is quiet power. Emotional intelligence is not loud. It does not demand attention. It simply creates it. Consistency is not glamorous, but it is powerful. I am speaking to you because the way you show up every day shapes how the world sees you more than any single impressive moment ever could. People do not build trust from what you promise. They build trust from what you repeat. When your actions align with your words again and again, you create a reputation that speaks for you even when you are not in the room. Most people live in bursts. They are passionate one day and absent the next. They commit and then disappear. This unpredictability makes others feel uneasy. But when you are consistent, when you follow through quietly and reliably, people relax around you. They know where you stand. They know what to expect. And that sense of stability is deeply attractive. I want you to understand this. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be steady. When you show up, even on the days you do not feel motivated, you build inner strength. That strength turns into confidence, and that confidence turns into respect. Consistency is how you keep promises to yourself. When you do what you say you will do, even in small ways, you develop self-trust. You begin to see yourself as someone who is dependable. That identity changes how you move through the world. You walk taller. 2000 reveras. You speak with more certainty. You stop doubting your own word, and people feel that certainty. Your reputation is built from thousands of small actions. How you respond to messages, how you handle conflict, how you keep your commitments. These moments may seem insignificant, but they are always being recorded in the minds of others. Over time, they form a picture of who you are. That picture is what people trust. I want you to become someone who does not need to announce their reliability. You show it. You arrive on time. You keep your word. You stay present when things get difficult. This quiet discipline makes you stand out in a world full of excuses. Consistency also creates emotional safety. When people know that you are not unpredictable, they feel comfortable opening up to you. They do not worry that you will disappear or change suddenly. That emotional reliability is rare, and people are drawn to rare things. Being consistent also means being aligned with your values. You do not shift who you are depending on who you are with. You stay true to your principles. That integrity builds respect. Even those who disagree with you will admire your steadiness. I want you to start small. Keep tiny promises. Finish what you start. Show up when you say you will. Over time, these small acts create a powerful momentum. You become someone others can count on. And being counted on is one of the strongest forms of attraction. Consistency is not loud. It does not seek attention. It quietly builds a foundation of trust that lasts. And when trust is present, everything else flows naturally. This is how you become magnetic. Not through grand gestures, but through steady presence. You were never meant to chase attraction. I want you to let that truth settle deeply, because chasing has been draining you without you even realizing it. Every time you try to be noticed, every time you adjust yourself to be liked, every time you reach outward, hoping someone will confirm your worth, you give away your power. Attraction does not respond to pursuit. It responds to alignment. And alignment begins the moment you stop running after approval and start standing firmly in who you are. For a long time, you may have believed that being attractive meant doing more, saying more, proving more. You may have thought that if you just tried harder, people would finally see you. But the quiet truth is this: the more you chase, the more you signal lack, and lack is felt. People may not consciously recognize it, but their nervous system does. They feel the pressure, they feel the hunger, and instinctively, they pull away. I am speaking to you now at the end of this journey, because everything you have heard so far leads to this realization. Attraction was never something you were supposed to hunt down. It was something that would emerge naturally once you became rooted in yourself. When you cultivate independence, calm, presence, compassion, and consistency, you stop asking the world to validate you. And the moment you stop asking, the world starts responding. You see, attraction is not created by effort. It is created by coherence. When your inner world and outer behavior match, you feel solid. You feel authentic. You feel real. And people are drawn to what feels real because reality feels safe. Masks are exhausting. Performance is tiring. But authenticity offers relief. When someone meets you and senses that you are not pretending, not chasing, not manipulating, they relax. And that relaxation opens the door to connection. I want you to think about how different it feels to be with someone who is at ease with themselves. They are not rushing the moment. They are not fishing for compliments. They are not trying to impress. They simply are. And in their presence, you feel less pressure to perform as well. That is the kind of presence you have been building. A presence that invites instead of demands. When you stop chasing attraction, you also stop chasing people who are not aligned with you. You no longer force connections that feel heavy. You no longer over-explain yourself to be understood. You no longer shrink or exaggerate who you are to fit into someone else's expectations. You become selective. And selectivity is not arrogance. It is self-respect. There is a deep freedom in knowing that you are enough as you are. Not because you are perfect, but because you are honest. Honest with your values. Honest with your boundaries. honest with your energy. When you live this way, you stop fearing rejection. Rejection no longer defines you. It simply redirects you. And that inner security changes how you move through the world. I want you to remember this. People are not attracted to what you want from them. They are attracted to what you bring. Calm, clarity, presence, depth. When you embody these qualities, you become a place of rest in a restless world. And people are always drawn to rest. Attraction grows in silence. It grows in consistency. It grows in the small moments when you choose integrity over approval, when you choose self-respect over validation, when you choose to walk away instead of beg. These choices shape your energy, and your energy is what people feel before they ever hear your words. You do not need to announce your worth. You do not need to convince anyone of your value. The right people will feel it, and those who do not are not meant to walk your path. That clarity alone will save you years of emotional exhaustion. As you move forward, I want you to live differently. Enter rooms without expectations. Speak without needing a reaction. Listen without needing control. Give without losing yourself. Let attraction be a consequence of who you are becoming, not a goal you are chasing. This is the quiet truth. You were never meant to chase attraction. You were meant to cultivate yourself so fully that attraction finds you without effort. When you live from that place, you do not just become attractive, you become free. And